us in welcoming Lord Gerry Grimstone and Abheek Barua. Ladies and gentlemen. Over to you, Mr. Barua.
Yeah. I was just chatting with Lord Grimstone or Lord Gerry before this session, and we were talking about FDI and development, and I realized that foreign direct investment in this age of disruption, ticks all the 3 Ds of this conference, disruption, development, and diversification. And let me start by asking him about how, because disruption has a lot of benefits, and in terms of new technologies, in terms of new asset classes, and how that FDI can help in that area.
Yes, thank you so much, and great to be with you all today. The last few years have provided investment opportunities the like I have never seen in my lifetime. Let me just kind of rattle some of them off to remind you. And each of these opportunities have carried with it disruption. First, perhaps, life sciences, the huge advantages that we saw in life sciences and the opportunities that came from that. Fintech, I mean, the advances in digitalization of financial services, absolutely profound. Next, and perhaps the most important, climate change and the world's reaction to that. The Green Revolution is greater in investment terms than the British Industrial Revolution was back in Victorian ages. And then, last but not least, and we've heard a lot about this conference from some excellent speakers, it's artificial intelligence, AI, and what that can do. And each of these new waves of technology are creating huge waves of investment, which in turn is producing disruption and diversification, and presents huge opportunities for foreign investors.
You were telling me, Lord Gerry, that the UK receives a lot of foreign investment, and you shared with me a rather startling statistic that foreign investment companies fare so much better than the purely domestic ones. And you also talked about this notion of leveling up, of getting more regional balance in growth. So could you just sort of talk us through these issues?
No, certainly. We did some, when I was investment minister in the UK, we researched this very carefully, and we found that foreign invested businesses in the UK were 70% more productive than their domestic counterparts. So they were a huge source of productivity for the British economy. Then, of course, you have the financial flows, but we also found they exported more because of their links back to their home countries. They tended to pay higher wages, and they generated much more IP, intellectual property, than their British counterparts. And this led us to see how we could use foreign investment to help level up the United Kingdom. I know you all know the United Kingdom just as well as I do. And of course, a perennial problem there, and this is a political problem as well as an economic problem, is the huge concentration of economic activity in London and the southeast. So a prime objective for us was to carry through what we called levelling up. And of course, we have a very similar situation here in India. 5 states in India at the moment attract 90% of foreign direct investment. So it's a very interesting question with huge economic and political ramifications as to how do we level up states that have fallen behind or weren't so lucky to benefit from this. What do we have to do to bring up everybody with a rising tide? And we found that foreign investment was vitally important. And we over-incentivized foreign investors to set up investments, particularly manufacturing investments, in those parts of the United Kingdom which needed levelling up. For example, offshore wind. We have the largest offshore wind farm in the world off the coast of East England. when we gave the first round of licenses, we were rather naive. We didn't realise the impact that that round could have on supply chains and investment. So the later rounds, we have set a clear marker that we expected 60% of the supply chain for our offshore wind to be located in the United Kingdom. We couldn't make it mandatory because of WTO rules, but we gave a very strong indication how important that was. And that has caused factories, manufacturing plants to be opened up in the northeast of England, for example, which had lost their industrialisation, frankly, largely through the Margaret Thatcher privatisation programme of the 1980s, which, as it happened, I was responsible for at that time as the Assistant Secretary of the Treasury. So it's been a remarkable thing in my personal career.
It's very interesting you say this, and I think you emphasize manufacturing as a key component of levelling up. And there is sort of a debate going on in India as to whether we should pivot more towards manufacturing or whether we should seek services-led growth. And what you seem to suggest that with more balance, if you want more balanced growth, it's the manufacturing game that you need to play, and that seems to be the experience of the UK.
I think so, because manufacturing can operate across a wide range of socio-economic, kind of backgrounds and factors. It helps sometimes re-establish the social hierarchies in towns and cities. It provides jobs for the men, provides jobs for the women, and increasingly through apprenticeships, and that's something else we put a lot of effort into, was providing jobs for the sons and the daughters of the workers in the factories. So we found this had a profound social impact as well as an economic impact.
One of the things that you might not know about Lord Grimstone is that he was one of the first FDI investors and one of the largest FDI investor in India 20 years ago with Standard Life. And they teamed up with us. And 20 years have passed. So you faced a certain investment environment then, and now as a more passive observer, but certainly a very keen observer, you see how the investment environment has changed. What has changed for the better, and where have we fallen behind, Lord Grimstone?
I mean, you're completely right. I mean, extraordinarily, foreign investment has increased 20 times in India in the last 20 years. And this hasn't come about by accident, and particularly since 2014, a date which the significance of which many of you will recognise in this room. Since 2014, the change of government policies in terms of the impact they have had on the ease of doing business, reforms to the tax code to make it transparent, many economic changes, and perhaps most of all, a real sea change in the welcoming attitude that India pays to foreign investors. My company, together with my great friend Deepak Parekh at HDFC Life, we established both what is now HDFC Life and HDFC Asset Management. And the trouble one had back in those days to bring foreign investment into India would have thwarted other than the most committed investor. Whereas you now see a very investor-friendly environment, I really do believe that India has now become one of the most attractive destinations in the world for foreign investment. And that has enormous implications going forward.
But what is the missing piece of the jigsaw puzzle? Are we there, or do we need to do something more? And what is that little more that we need to do to become a more attractive, top of the chart investment destination?
Let me pull out 2 points. First of all, many people, many businesses, particularly small and medium enterprises, do not know the changes that have occurred in India. And I think there is still much that can be done in terms of investment promotion and bringing home to people outside India what is happening here. Secondly, of course, and you all know this better than I do, India is very complicated. And anybody who wants to establish a business in India needs help. Now, things like the single national window have been brilliant. But investors need a concierge service to help them navigate India. All this is coming in, all this is happening.
Lord Grimstone, I'm going to interrupt you because the time Nazis are here. But before you leave, I want you to talk a little bit about the dark side of FDI, issues related to security, and let's not beat about the bush, let's talk about China. And the Nazis will give us two additional minutes.
Yes, certainly. Very quickly, I was responsible for investment security in the United Kingdom as a minister. And of course, it's well known that one issue, not just we had, but many countries had, was investment from China. And I made it very clear to my friends in China that it's not that we wanted to deter Chinese investment, but we were not so stupid as to want to bring harmful investment into the United Kingdom. So we drew up a list of sectors where we didn't want to see investment, that we've monitored that very closely. Now, interestingly, as one might have predicted, that's had a chilling impact now over pretty much the whole of Chinese investment in the UK. So we've stopped, or largely stopped, the investment security problem, but one of the side effects of that, and it may be this is unavoidable, I have to say was a chilling impact on Chinese investment in the UK.
Lord Grimstone, I wish we could have gone on for much longer, but the ones in the jackboots are here, and I shall have to bid you farewell. Thank you so much for speaking to me and to us, and it's been such an honor and a privilege.
Thank you so much.